It is time now to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. Joining me for this is public affairs analyst Olade Ndiario and broadcast journalist Funke Treasure. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Let's head straight to the papers now. And I begin with the Daily Times. Federal government states debt profile rises to 32.92 trillion naira. You find that story on the front page of the Daily Times. To the national economy now, federal government begins development of mineral resources in 6 geopolitical zones. You find the story on the front page of the national economy. To the leadership newspaper now, 600 trillion cubic feet of gas, rising global demand brightens Nigeria's export prospects. 600 trillion cubic feet of gas, rising global demand brightens Nigeria's export prospects. That's story on the front page of the leadership newspaper. To the business day now, Nigeria's decade of gas hangs on pricing regulation. A story on the front page of the business day. To the Daily Sun now, protesters ground APC headquarters, demand extension of membership registration revalidation. You find that story on the front page of the Daily Sun. To the Punch newspaper now, Buhari leaves for London medical holiday today as doctors set for strike. President to spend 2 weeks in United Kingdom for a routine checkup. Resident doctors fault federal government, says it failed to implement agreement. Federal government asks a nod to stop April the 1st strike, says negotiation is ongoing. You find details of all of those stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. To the blueprint now, Tinubu to Buhari, NAS at 12th colloquium. Nigerians need economic stimulus, not austerity measures. That story on the front page of the blueprint. It urges recruitment of 50 million youths into the army. We are better, stronger together. Buhari, national integration low at the moment. Ganduje, address issues fueling cessation, restructuring. You find all of those stories on the pages of the blueprint. We move now to the Daily Trust. Release money to boost economy, Tinubu tells Buhari. Employ 50 million youth to tackle insecurity. We are stronger together, President. We'll need visa to move around if Nigeria breaks up Oshibajo. Kanu meeting purely about 2023 PDP stalwart. Details on the pages of the Daily Trust. To the Nigerian News Direct now, colloquium chose Kanu to prove Yoruba Fulani are one. Tinubu, Nigerians better, stronger as one. Buhari will continue to draw from Tinubu's wealth of experience. Sanwo-Olu. We'll move now to the front page of the Vanguard. Buhari at Tinubu's colloquium, why we must avoid war. I fought for Nigeria's unity during civil war, says Buhari, one cessationist against bids to divide Nigeria. Clamor for Oodua Republic, long overdue, Gani Adams. It's either Oodua Republic or YOV insists. Army will deal with threats confronting Nigeria. Chief of Army Staff Atahiru speaking. All right, we move now to the front page of the Nation newspaper. Nigeria is better, stronger as one nation, says Buhari. Let's put our diversity aside. Tinubu, this is not time for austerity. Details of that story on the pages of the Nation newspaper. To the Guardian now, Nigeria competing with bandits to recruit jobless youth, says Tinubu. Nigerians better off together, says Buhari. Eminent citizens advocate national rebirth, inter-ethnic equity. You find the details of the stories on the pages of the Guardian newspaper. All right, all of this statements coming out of the 12th colloquium yesterday, which is an occasion usually meant to mark the birthday of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the APC stalwart, and so many statements coming out of that colloquium, especially from the president and Asiwaju Bola Tinubu himself. And we'll begin with the president, who is saying that Nigeria is better, stronger as one nation. He is still restating that our unity is something that he's committing himself to Nigeria's unity, basically. That is what he has always been saying over time. Yeah.
Well, I think it's the right thing to say. Nobody likes war. I will not subscribe to war because war is certainly not the option for us. We can't afford for the nation to break up. We just must dialogue. And we have much more.
Although he hasn't spoken about dialogue.
Yeah, but for us to continue to be together, there must be dialogue. Because right now, there are fault lines being magnified daily by the differences that we see being stoked by, being exploited by different people to cause more disunity and disharmony in the country. So yes, Buhari is right, our president is right to say Nigeria is better and stronger together. However, we must look at those issues, those factors threatening to disintegrate
the cause for cessation.
Yes, we must look. That's why we need dialogue. That's why you must bring people together and say, okay, what do you want? What will work for you? This is what I don't want. Now we're seeing the Igbo nation asking for Igbo presidency. We're seeing people saying, no, we don't want to continue. The people agitating for the Oduduwa Republic are gaining ground every day. Their voices are being amplified and magnified every day. So there is the need for the federal government and the stakeholders in the governance of this nation to say, you know what, my people, let's come together and have a dialogue. We must dialogue. We must. There is nothing that can move us forward other than for us all to come, whether we're going to have a sovereign national conference,
we have had that before.
Whatever it is, we must
we have had that before. 2014. So we are asking, what are we going to say again, different from what was said in 2014?
I'm sorry.
Take up arms?
Nobody is talking about taking up arms.
Exactly. We are asking,
there is
what
no
are we
end
saying
to dialogue
that is different from 2014, the 2014 conversation? What are we saying? We had that conversation. What has come out of it? Maybe I don't know. You could help me, or she could help me.
I will.
I'll let him speak first.
I take a very different position entirely.
All right.
If Mr. President knew that he fought to keep Nigeria together in the decades gone, what meaningfully, deliberately, and sustainably
is he
doing now to still foster that unity? All over Nigeria, what do you see? Nepotism, partiality, and all of such ingredients.
Is that what is fueling this cause for cessation?
For cohesion in any nation. I am not talking what we do not know. In appointments, we know how it goes. In promotion, within organizations, including the armed forces, the police everywhere, you know how it goes. And these things cannot be present, and then we'll be talking about unity. How? Before you can talk about unity, equity and equality are two principal things that must be present. Unfortunately, they are missing. We've had these challenges since last year, as in it got to its peak of crisis between farmers, herdsmen, here and there. And naturally, it's not a secret that those who are into the business of cattle rearing are Fulanis.
But the government put measures in place.
Yeah, but let me land.
All right.
But the question still remains that everywhere, people are saying government wasn't doing enough to rein in the herdsmen. It took a long while before the president would say, anybody who see AK-47, shoot aside. The question is, how many people have been shot aside since then? Whereas kidnapping, mindless killings, abductions
have been on
are still going on. Nobody wants to stay in a house where your rights and privileges are not guaranteed or respected.
Yeah,
and that's why anywhere this happens, non-state actors will emerge. They will take the center stage, whether we like it or not.
Nevertheless.
For me, I'm not advocating for war. We are not the first country that will disintegrate. And I will tell you, in the history of mankind, we won't be the last. As a matter of fact, the only permanent thing in life is change. We have failed to utilize our diversity.
What are you calling for? Are you
nation.
also
very careful? We must be very careful.
I am not advocating for war, but I'm saying if we don't want to break Nigeria into bits and pieces, the federal government now should be decisive in promoting all of those things that will enhance our unity and cohesion.
And then how do they do that without dialogue?
We have never, when you say dialogue, you see, it's not enough to just say dialogue. We can't be doing things the same way, time in, time out, and you expect a different result. Where is the report of the 2014 dialogue? We complained that so much money was spent on that dialogue. But what happened? This government came to power and they didn't even bother to look at the report. And we're now still saying dialogue. At where we are now, decisive action from the presidency.
What are these decisive actions that has to be taken? And if they have to be taken, how?
Number one, we know that our number one problem is insecurity.
Right.
I would prefer, that was why when I said, when they changed the head of armed forces, I still wasn't comfortable because the question is, what were they bringing to the table? It's over a month now, Abi? Yet, all of the things we were complaining of are still happening. So much so that the governor, was almost murdered on the highway. And these are the issues. Specifically, they should sit and begin to determine the way forward in terms of tackling insecurity. I don't want to now start listing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Those in power, they also know what to do, but they refuse to do it.
All right. Well, the saying is that everything rises and falls on leadership.
Right.
The leader of the nation has said that Nigeria is better and stronger as one nation.
Yeah.
That is a statement. It means, look, I'm not interested in the disintegration of this country. Whether you like it or not, whether we have issues or not, at the end of the day, we're still going to sit down and say, this is not going right. This is what will work. So if you do not want war, then you have to want dialogue. Of course, we expect that the presidency will take decisive, to use his words, decisive actions. Of course, to move the nation forward. But hello, war is not an alternative, nor an option. I will never sit down here. In the course of my career, I covered the IDP camp at Oru in Ijebu-Ode. The same Oru that the Senator Judu referred to in his last article. I know what it is for a nation for the citizens of a nation to be scattered abroad, right? Nigeria's population tells you, just the population tells you, will overrun the rest of West Africa. War means that because it's easy to, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. It's easy to say we're just going to, no dialogue, no conversation. There is no end to conversation. You must continue to dialogue, you must continue to say, you must continue to use the elders of the land, stakeholders, and at some point the president said, shoot everyone with AK-47 at sight. At least he said that at some point. Yes, a governor was attacked. So did everybody rejoice at it? These are issues bordering on bad governance, and the truth is everyone is setting up to say, what must we do to arrest the situation?
Absolutely.
So there's a gap now between when we get it right and move from this point that this is not what we want and this is what we want. We must continue to talk. People like us must continue to come on, platforms like this to say this
something.
This is it. We must not say, so if bandits are here and this, and then what?
I believe that's not what you're saying.
No,
that's not. I believe that's not what he's saying.
We must take decisive action. Yes, but we must continue to dialogue.
Right. But I don't know where you're coming from. I have never, in my private capacity or publicly or wherever, cancelled war. That's not the issue.
I'm not saying you
cancelled war. But the point is this.
The thing is, we must continue to
dialogue.
But
the truth must be told. What is the government doing to assuage all of those people who have suffered one loss, either of lives, of relations, or of investment in the midst of all of these things.
I'm not
when we say we should talk, what platforms do we have to talk? We've been shouting, calling for tutoring for so long. It was a campaign issue, and we were thinking, oh, when APC comes in, that will be the first thing they will look at. But 6 years down the line, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And the question is, so if we are saying we want to talk where? We continue to talk in beer parlors and places like this? Okay, and who? I mean, we will talk, okay? But what authority do we have to breathe life into what we say? We don't just talk. We must talk for a purpose. When the president said he fought the Nigerian war, I mean, I'm glad that he remembered. So if he remembered, you don't talk peace into existence. You facilitate peace. It's not just talking. But actions have to be taken.
Right.
And there are enough people, we've said enough in the last 1 or 2 years, whereby if government is really ready to straighten up things, they can always speak from there. Or if they say, okay,
so
all these people...
invariably, stemming from what you're saying now, government is not ready.
That's government is not ready. See, let me tell you, one day a government official looked at me and said, I'm an intellectual terrorist. You know, that we go on TV, we go on radio and say, look, we are offering solutions, alternatives, because what we are seeing is not what it should be.
Right.
Nobody will tell me that today his life is better than it was in 2015. A lot of the metrics, they are there to measure and say, oh, this is how it is. So for me, beyond all of this talking, the president has to come back. It's so painful that this year we've not had him, and I've been saying this, meet the press, let them ask critical questions, answer, let people send in questions, answer, speak to us, talk to us, let's engage.
I have talked about bad governance and, you know, moving from point A to B. We haven't had this you know, bad in the past. But the truth is, this is where we are. So how do we move from here back to good governance? All of the issues we're dealing with or grappling with as a nation now cannot just go away in few minutes or in a month. What the past service chiefs have done can't be erased in 1 month of the new service chiefs. We must, as we, you know, ask for change, also factor in the fact that change will occur with time. I am not saying this government has done fantastically well. We all know, just as you said, how many of us can say my life is better than it was in 2015? I agree with you. But you see, in criticizing, in critiquing issues, we must also be very careful not to stoke the fire of disunity and disharmony.
Right.
We will move. See, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. These too shall pass, as far as I'm concerned, because we'll keep talking, we'll keep demanding for action. We'll keep saying, stop being reactive as a government, stop being proactive.
As a government.
We will continue to say that. The more you do that, the more you demand for your right, the more you demand for this and that for the nation, the more you prick the conscience of those in leadership, that one day they're going to wake up and say, okay, after all, we didn't
even look at what they have been saying, perhaps. Well, in proffering solution to some of these issues...
how much of conscience pricking have we achieved?
We can't stop.
How do you want to measure that?
COVID-19 came February last year. One of the early issues that we were campaigning was for government to build or upgrade at least one hospital in each of the political regions, whereby, because then globally, access to foreign medical services were not available. The government should do something in that regard. But till date, nothing was done. And that is why, after a long time now, Mr. President is having to go to UK again on medical tourism.
All right,
quickly, you know, so these are the issues
I want to touch on what Asiwaju spoke about.
The 50 million...
He said, yes, we should recruit 50 million youths into the army, and also spoke about the government injecting monies into the system.
My take on that is, It's easy. I respect his political sagacity, you know. Asiwaju Tinubu. And I love the fact that he said recruit the youth, 50 million of them. Fabulous. But this is what I have against what he said. For years now, since this Boko Haram insurgency began, do you know how many men and women of the armed forces we've lost? How have we immortalized these people who have given up their lives for the nation? It's like saying, bring 50 million more youths to be killed because there is no insurance. These people die every day. Their wives become pauperized, their families pauperized. Where is the insurance scheme for our soldiers? And why must we take them to the war front to be slaughtered? We read the case of a man who was going to get married, a soldier, whose brother then ended up with his wife, marrying his wife. There are heartbreaking stories of soldiers, young and old and promising officers who've lost their lives. We must tackle that first. We must start to look at who are
their welfare, basically.
Precisely. And then look at the fifth column in the armed forces. Why are we losing so many of them? And why should we lose more? So recruiting generally, yes. Recruiting into the army, no.
Right.
No.
My position is this. If truly we are 200 million people and you are now going to be deploying a quarter of that population into the armed forces, there will be crisis. That's a massive number. As we are today, we have less than 1 million in all these armed forces. Yet, like Raleigh said, they are not adequately taken care of, alive or dead. As much as I know that joblessness is at the heart of a lot of the issues we are having today, I'm not going to support that. Rather, we increase the number, in the police. That's the civil thing. We've not had any external war. The army is not the ideal organization.
And actually, we are under-policed in the country.
As we are now, we are heavily under-policed. So I'd rather we get more policemen as against the army.
Again, the issues of welfare.
Again, if you look at the Premium Times this morning, you see that there's a report that we've lost this number of policemen in the last 6 months in the nation. So you can't keep having a particular, peacemakers or peace fighters being decimated all the time. You're not looking into that and you want to recruit more. No, it doesn't work like that.
No, we are not, the demand for the military is not as urgent as the demand for the civil police. Okay, I would have preferred we focus on that. Number two, there are a lot of things which, let me say, if we had settled the issue of power alone, electricity, 3/4 of the people who are jobless today would have been able to find something either to do for themselves, or those who are doing things, would have taken them on. Yes. You see why some companies have left Nigeria because of power situation and other challenges.
The enabling environment is not there.
Procter and Gamble is one. They left Nigeria early in the month.
Let me quickly weigh in on that. Okay, so I teach a series on Live Your Dream, and this is saying you don't have employment in the country. You cannot stay there and wait for this elusive employment. What are you doing with your own dream? The question again is, where is the enabling environment?
All right, we'll leave it there now. We'll leave it there now.
Thank you.
No, we have left it. We have left the conversation.
We should say happy birthday to Asiwaju now.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, you got me there. Do I have a choice? Quickly, because you have to go.
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on behalf of this desk, I'm saying happy birthday to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to you. Do you want to say happy birthday?
Happy birthday to
all right. Public affairs analyst Olade Indiaria, broadcast journalist Funke Treasure. Thank you so much for your time on the newspaper review.